Hey guys, it's Jess from Peace Love Books, and I have a very exciting video today to do. I've been looking forward to doing it all weekend, and it's because, I'm sorry, my phone's in my hand, because I need it for this video. I saw Shania from Unrevealed Reader. If you're not following her, you definitely should. She has just over 1,000 subscribers, but I love her videos, and her new one, she DM'd authors, her favorite authors, and to see who would message her back with book recommendations. And I think she had like 4 people respond out of like 50 authors, and I thought I would have better luck, no offense Shania, but I was going to message my favorite romance authors, and some of my favorite romance authors I'm like actually friends with, so I knew they would respond to me. So I ended up messaging 23 different authors and 10 responded, which is very exciting. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the authors I reached out to, tell you my favorite book of theirs, and then tell you what romances they recommended you guys to read. I thought this would be a good way of getting recommendations that I haven't necessarily read, but if you have a favorite author and you want to read their favorite book, go for it. So I will get to my recommendations. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Sorry if anything changed. My battery literally died as soon as I started filming, and so good thing that happened because another author responded to me. So I messaged them on Saturday, today's Monday, and Elle Kennedy got back to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to the 11 authors that responded to me and their recommendations. So let's start with Elle Kennedy. She is one of my all-time favorite authors. I have the pleasure of meeting her twice now, and she is fabulous. She writes so many different kinds of books. I really have to get to her backlist. She's written adult post-apocalyptic, she's written adult romantic suspense, and she's most known for her new adult series. And I will say my favorite book of hers is The Score, and this one's part of the Off-Campus series. It's new adult, it's Dean's story, and I'm obsessed with it. You have to check this series out if you haven't. Book 4 in the Briar U series comes out next month, which is very exciting. So she had quite the list. So the first book she has is the Brooklyn Bruiser series by Serena Bowen. Elle and Serena co-wrote Him and Us together, which are amazing. So they're friends, and she recommended this series. I've read this series, I love this series. They are adult hockey romances. And the new book in this series, which she pointed out, comes out in a couple weeks, which I did not know, and so if you like your adult sports romances, check out this series. She also recommended The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker, which I think BookTube knows very well and loves. I gave this book 5 stars, so far Elle Kennedy has great taste in romances. Next she said Anything by Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward, which this author duo has a lot of successful romances that they write together, and I don't know what my favorite of theirs that they've co-written. I always forget what they've co-written or what I've read separately, but I definitely agree that they are great romance authors. And the last one is interesting because this is an author that I've kind of given up on, but now I kind of want to read this series. So the last one she said was Megan March's Magnolia Duet. So the first one is Creole Kingpin. I don't know how to say that word. Madam Temptress is book 2, and these are about, let me pull it up on Goodreads. Magnolia is the girl's name, and he's an anti-hero, and he's like the ghost from her past. I don't know, maybe I'll read this duet. It sounds good. I like New Orleans romances. So those are all of Elle's recommendations. Thank you so much, Elle, for responding, and I'll go ahead and get to my next author. Next one I had to reach out to is one of my favorite authors. That is Gianna Darling. She's one I'm friends with, and I'm obsessed with Welcome to the Dark Side. I think it would just have the 2-year anniversary of when Welcome to the Dark Side was released. It is book 2 in the Fallen Men series. Book 4 recently came out. I still haven't read it. I know I'm an awful person. I'm gonna read it soon, I swear. This is a motorcycle romance series, and book 2 follows Zeus, who is a father of like teenagers, and Lou, who is a teenager. So it's a huge age gap. They meet when Lou's young. Fabulous book, but Gianna had some pretty good romance recommendations. The first one's one of my favorite books of all time. That's Wolf Song by TJ Klune. It's werewolf romance, and magical, and I love it so much, so definitely agree with Gianna there. Then she also recommended the Something in the Way series by Jessica Hawkins, which I read the first one and I gave it 5 stars. Another age gap romance. I think Gianna likes her dark forbidden romances, and this one is about a girl who is a teenager and she falls for like a guy she sees working on construction next door, but he's too old for her. He's in his early 20s, I think, and they end up going to a camp, and he kind of has a relationship with her sister, so it's a love triangle. It gets messy. Really good. Next is one I'm too uncomfortable to read, but I've heard it's really good, and that is Priest by Sierra Simone. This one is about a priest, and it's Sierra Simone, so it's gonna be a steamy romance. I have not read it. I don't think I will ever read it. I think my mother would like have a heart attack if she knew I read that book, so I'm not gonna read this one, but I would recommend it to you guys if you want. I know Sierra Simone writes really good books. The next one I've heard of, and one of my friends has actually read it, and it is Hothead by Damon Suede. Since 9/11, these firefighters, so it's an MM romance, have wrestled with their feelings for each other. And one of them is strictly a ladies' man, and so I think then he like realizes his feelings for his best friend. So I've heard really good things about this one, and another MM. I think Gianna loves her MM romances, so check that out. This last one I've never heard of. I've heard of the author, so it is At Peace by Kristen Ashley. It looks like it's an older romance. It came out 2011. That's when I graduated high school. So this one is about, whoa, okay. So it says that Violet Winters had it all but lost it when her husband was murdered by a criminal madman. Then she ends up trying to, so I guess her neighbors are playing music loud, so she goes out to tell them to stop and meets the sinister, scarred, and scarily attractive security specialist, Joe Callahan. Why does that sound so good? He has some dark secrets in his past. Secrets so soul-wrenching they've drained him dry. This sounds really good, Gianna. I might have to read this from your recommendation, so check that out if you're interested. Next one is Monica James. I love Monica's books. I read the whole Bad Saint trilogy last year and the beginning of this year, and I just got an arc of the second book to Bullseye. I'm blanking on the name, Blowback, I think. I'm excited for this, but my favorite by her is definitely Bad Saint. That one is a dark romance. She gets kidnapped and it's her romance with her kidnapper, so very, very good. Love her books, but she got back to me with some really good ones. So the first one is Twilight. Monica, thank you for that, because I love Twilight still, and it's a good book, and you guys should read it if you hadn't. But the next one is Lover Awakened by J.R. Ward. This is book 3 in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. If you haven't read the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, you should. Books 1 and 2 are not my favorite. Book 3 is one of my absolute favorites of the book. Book 3 and 4 are my favorites, actually. So vampire romances again. Monica's got a thing for vampires. The next one is The Longest Ride by Nicholas Sparks. I actually, fun fact, am in this movie. If you didn't know, I was on vacation in Myrtle Beach, and they had like an open casting call to extras, and my dad and I went, and we are in the background of the opening scene of that movie where he rides a bull again. I think it was after he got hurt, and where she like sees him. Yeah, I was in that. But I really like this book, and I used to be obsessed with Nicholas Sparks. The next one's Autobiography by Christina Lauren. This one is one that's on my TBR. I know I am a monster for not reading this yet. It is an MM romance YA, I believe, and I think that they like move to a Mormon town maybe, or one of them's Mormon, I don't remember, but I heard it is a very adorable YA contemporary, and I know I need to read it. Thoughtless by S.C. Stevens is a classic that I read and loved when they were coming out. I got arcs of them, and I definitely agree with Monica. This one is very good. It is love triangle though with cheating, so if you don't like that, don't read it, but it's good. It's between Kira and Kellen Kyle, who is a musician, so it's also musician romance. She is going old school on these. The next one is The Secret of Ella and Micah, which was huge when New Adult was starting to become a thing. I don't even remember what this is about. I think I read it by Jessica Sorensen. These are old. 2012. I was in college when I was reading these. Back when like New Adult was a thing, a new thing, and this one, I gave it 5 stars a while ago. It said they've been best friends since they were kids, and then one tragic night shatters their friendship, and then it's summer break, and Micah lives next door. So he knows everything about her, including her dark secrets. I literally don't remember a single thing about this book. I read it 8 years ago, but you should read it if you missed out on the whole New Adult trend back then. And the last one's another classic New Adult book, and that's Easy by Tamara Weber. I think I read this around the same time I read The Secrets of Ella and Micah, and this one I believe she's sexually assaulted in the beginning, and it's a romance with someone who like helps her out. She's in college. I could have gotten that totally wrong. I think so. The synopsis is very vague, so I'm pretty sure that's what it's about, but if you, again, want to dive into the classic New Adult books, check that one out. The next one, I was very excited that she responded, is Tessa Bailey. I love Tessa's books. I loved Fix Her Up, and I really did like the second book too, whatever it's called, Love Her or Lose Her. I do have an arc of book 3, which I'm very excited for. Tessa also has a bunch of indie published books. She just published a new vampire romance, Reborn, yesterday. I did win a copy of this last month, so I'm just waiting to receive it in the mail, but I'm very excited for that too. And so she said she's been on a fantasy paranormal historical historical kick lately. She's trying to avoid contemporary, which another author actually told me that too. So if you're looking for something to just let you escape. So Tessa said, which is funny because she's recommending an author I also asked for this video, Carrigan Burns' Victorian Rebels series. This one starts with The Highwayman, one of my favorite historicals of all time, one of my favorite books I read last year. These are really gritty historical romances, so like they have dark things happen to the characters, but we have scarred heroes, we have kidnappings, marriage of conveniences. They are amazing and they all intertwine. I've read them out of order, but I've read 1 in 6 or 1 in 5. They're amazing though. Totally agree with Tessa that this series is amazing. She also recommended A Heart of Blood and Ash by Milla Vane. She said if you enjoyed The Witcher, Milla Vane gives you that noble warrior, fierce, brave heroine vibe. I've read this as well. I gave this, I think, 4.5 stars. I definitely agree with Tessa that this one is really great with the female main character. The guy, his parents, it's fantasy, so the guy is like king, or he wasn't king yet, but then his parents are murdered by a rival kingdom, and he's very angry because they made it seem like it was his parents' fault for being killed, so everyone's like, oh, it's fine. He's like, no, that would never happen, they're lying. So he goes to seek revenge and kidnaps the rival kingdom's daughter, the king of the rival kingdom's daughter, and she actually hates her father, so she's like, hey, guess what, I hate my father too, let's actually like go against him together. And he hates her still, but they start falling in love, and it's so good. Definitely recommend this. Tessa has some taste because this is good. The next one is the lovely Christina Lauren. I did not know if they would respond to me or not, but they did, and I was very excited. I love Christina Lauren. They actually, like, we've interacted before on Instagram. Like, if I ever share something, they usually like it or share it as well. They're super interactive on social media, and The Unhoneymooners is probably my favorite of theirs. I also really did enjoy My Favorite Half Night Stand. They write fabulous rom-coms. I do prefer their older books, so check those out. I do have to read the rest of the Beautiful Bastard series and like the wild rowdy ones. I've heard those are great, but they recommended authors. So they said Sally Thorne, which Sally Thorne's written 2 books, The Hating Game, which is amazing, and 99% Mine, which I actually really enjoyed as well. 99% Mine, the main character is a twin, and she has always liked the boy that they grew up with, who was her brother's best friend, and she's redoing her grandmother's house. She's currently fighting with her brother. They're adults now, and the friend of her brother's ends up helping her rebuild her grandma's house, and they fall in love, and it's very cute. I really enjoyed it. People don't, but I love it. They also said K.A. Tucker, again, another K.A. Tucker, and I didn't think to message K.A. Tucker. I don't know why I didn't. There were a lot of authors I forgot to message. Like, I didn't message Charlie Rose, and I didn't message... There was another one that I was thinking that I was like, why didn't I ask her? I don't know. I missed a lot of authors, so I apologize. If you want me to do this again with more authors, let me know, because I did miss a good chunk of them. But K.A. Tucker writes The Simple Wild, which we already talked about, but I do love her 10 Tiny Breasts series. I acknowledge that 10 Tiny Breasts is an old new adult book and is kind of problematic, but I still loved it. And I loved book 2, which is new adult, which is her sister from the first book in college with a rower on the college rowing team. I loved him. I love that book. I haven't read the rest of them yet, but I really want to. And the last one they said is Penny Reid, and I have not read too many Penny Reid. I know Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers loves Penny Reid. I have read Truth or Beard, and I know that series is really popular. And I did read Kissing Tolstoy, which I really enjoyed as well, and I have book 2, which I'm excited, so check out Penny Reid. Next is exciting because Serena Bowen messaged me back as well. There were these authors that I'm like, oh, I don't know, am I too small for them to like respond to? But Serena Bowen did respond, and she said If I Never Met You by Mari McFarlane. I never know how to say that author's name, but I've seen this cover around a lot, and it is a new release, and I'm pretty sure Chandler from Chandler Ainsley read it and she really enjoyed it. I don't think I've seen anybody else read it. Our main character gets broken up with. Okay, so she's been dating this guy for over 10 years. He breaks up with her, and then he has a new pregnant girlfriend, and she's like, holy crap, like, really? And so then a chance encounter in a broken down elevator with the office playboy opens up possibility. I think they fake date, so that sounds fun. Love a good fake dating romance. I might have to check this out. Thank you, Serena, for that recommendation and pushing me to read that book because it sounds real good. Next one is the amazing Carrigan Burns. She's probably one of my absolute favorite historical romance authors. She wrote The Highwayman, which was one that another author recommended. So Carrigan Burns said her favorites are Cynthia St. Aubin, who I looked this up and I actually downloaded one of her books. I told Carrigan that I hadn't heard of that author before, and she told me to start out with her newer books, and she has a newer series, the Jane Avery series, so I will talk about that one. I just downloaded it from KU, and it's KU audio too, so like I got the audiobook for being on KU, which is really cool. It's Private Lies, and it's a new series of crime and deception. So it sounds like our main character's mom is the most imaginatively duplicitous private eye in Denver. Jane is an aspiring lawyer and she has to solve something. So it sounds like this is more of like a crime mystery kind of book, but I'm down for that and trying to read some new authors. She also recommended Stacey Hart, who I'm also a huge fan of. I read Coming Up Roses, which was really cute, and that's her series that's coming out now. I don't know if she had a new one out for that. That was about a girl who worked in a flower shop and fell in love with the owner's son, which is really cute, and I really like that. So check out Stacey Hart if you want to. She has a lot of series and she's been redoing a lot of her covers, which are really pretty, so check out Stacey Hart. And then Kim Lorraine is an author I gotta look up. I don't think I've ever heard of Kim Lorraine before. Ooh, so it looks like she writes some paranormal fantasy stuff. So the one that first came up is called Waking the Watcher. It's a fallen angel book. I am obsessed with fallen angels right now, and I was gonna do a angel romance video coming up soon. So I'm excited. This just got me really excited. Look at this cover. Okay, so it says Gallon Lust is her ultimate downfall and demise. Now she's trapped in solace, burdened by a watcher lurking within. He wants out, he wants her. It sounds really good. I'm really excited now. So check out this author if you want some good fantasy paranormal romances. Thank you, Carrigan, for that recommendation. Alright, just got a call for work, so I had to take a little break. But the next one I reached out to is Candy Steiner. I love Candy's books. I knew she would respond right away. I love A Love Letter to Whiskey. It's my favorite from Candy. It's super angsty, kind of love triangle, kind of like it's never the right time for this couple to be together and you get super frustrated. So good. But I also love her Palm South University series. I am going to be doing a read-along this summer before book 5 comes out, so look out for that. Also with someone on BookTube is hosting it with me, so I'm very excited. But she recommended a lot. So she recommended A Lesson in Thorns by Sierra Simone. Thank you, Candy, for good taste. I did reach out to Sierra too to ask her for recommendations, but she didn't respond, so it's okay. But I really like this. It is very like dark and gothic, and it's this group of kids who met when they were young and their parents were doing something weird at Thorn Chapel, and now they're adults and they're back at Thorn Chapel and they're doing weird ritualistic things together. And our main character we mainly follow is a librarian, and she's doing like library stuff at the estate that they're all at, and it's polyamorous and it's amazing. She said, if you're like me and have never read erotic before, do it specifically by reading this incredible book by Sierra Simone. Her writing is out of this world and these characters and entire story are addictive. So okay, the next one's another book I've read and loved, and that is 44 Chapters by B.B. Easton. She says this one is hilarious, like don't read in bed with your significant other, hilarious because you will laugh out loud. And there's a Netflix series coming out being made about it, so duh. This one's actually really funny. I read it and it's kind of semi-autobiographical. B.B. Easton writes about her 4 like memorable relationships she's had in her life, from when she was a teenager to when she met her current husband, Ken, and I didn't know that wasn't his real name. It's fake, and because like protecting Ken from like work and stuff, so people don't know actually it's him, and it's really funny. I love it. And then she wrote 4 books about each of the guys separately, and I bought Suit, which is Ken's book, which I'm gonna read soon, I promise. It's really good though. It's gonna be Netflix. Check it out. And then the last one's The Edge of Never by J.A. Redmarsky, another classic new adult book. She said this one is an oldie but a goodie. I love road trip romance, and this one is angsty and emotional and all the things that I love. I highly recommend. I agree, this one is very angsty emotional, and they do take a road trip together, so I think I gave this 5 stars and I read it. I really loved it. Check it out. Hey guys, I'm editing, so sorry, everything's different. I completely forgot to tell you B.B. Easton's recommendations. I feel so annoyed because she had some really good ones, and I asked her and she responded super excited about it. So I'm gonna put a collage of the ones that she recommended. They're all right here. She has some series and some standalones, so check them out. And sorry, I forgot her, but that's her recommendation. I'll get back to your regularly scheduled entertainment right now. Then I reached out to the amazing Kennedy Ryan, and I'm obsessed with her All the King's Men duet. I think it's called All the King's Men. The first one's The Kingmaker. The second one is something I can't remember, but these are political romances, kind of. Like, our main characters meet when the girl's 18 and he's like 23, so like that's like, or she might be 17. It's just like not the right age to be getting together, and they acknowledge that. And so they meet at a protest. She is part Native American, and she's protesting a pipeline that his father's responsible for putting in on reservation land. They meet. He's totally against his dad. He ends up starting his own business about like being eco-conscious, stuff like that. And so it jumps a bunch of time, and it's amazing, and I loved it so much. And so she said she loves historicals, so always have at least one of those. Her go-to rec is Lord of Scoundrels by Loretta Chase. I'm literally currently reading this right now. Don't know too much about the plot, but we have a scarred hero, so he's got like a damaged past, and I love that, so I'm excited for that. For fantasy, she would recommend The Folk of the Air series by Holly Black, which totally agree. The Cruel Prince is just like classic hate to love YA fantasy that like everybody's obsessed with. I really enjoyed it as well. And then for contemporary, she says The Dreamers by Adriana Herrera, which I don't think I've heard of. Okay, I feel like I've seen these covers before. So the first one is American Dreamer. The main character has an Afro-Caribbean food truck in New York, and he has 6 months to make his food truck like a reality, and he can't afford distractions. So I'm so confused. I think it's MM. This is confusing because it's Jude and Nesto, so it's an MM romance. I just got super confused. They end up meeting and falling for each other. So sounds fun. Haven't heard of that author before. I think I've seen that cover before, so thank you, Kennedy, for that recommendation. We have Drive by Kate Stewart, which I have read. I don't really remember the synopsis. I think it has to do with music, and it's very emotional. And then anything by, I think Everything by Emma Scott means everything. I don't think she has a book named Everything. I love Emma Scott as well. I'll put a picture of one of my recommendations from her. I'm blanking on the name. I really like The Butterfly Project. And then Full Tilt as well is really good by Emma Scott. And her last one, Sparrow by L.J. Shen, which I actually just finished listening to on audio, and it is a mafia romance, marriage of convenience. Really good. I actually liked it. The ending was surprising because there was a character in the beginning that like I thought we could trust, and then we couldn't, and I was like, oh my gosh, but definitely like that one as well. And then the last author I had to share with you is Kalia Reed. I love her Surviving Trace series. I would highly recommend this series to anybody. It is time traveling to the early 1900s, so atmospheric and amazing, and our main character time travels and like takes the place of someone who looks like her, so they like think that she's that girl. Yeah. So she says, she was just talking about romance books with a friend a few days ago, so some of her favorites are classic historicals. So she has Knight in Shining Armor by Jude Deveraux, which is time travel, which I didn't know that. I don't have any Jude Deveraux. I might have just gotten my first one by her in a used book haul, so time traveling romance is amazing. Also, Whitney My Love by Judith McNaught. I'm so excited for this because I just finished reading A Kingdom of Dreams by Judith McNaught, which was amazing. I am so excited to read more. I think I bought 4 more Judith McNaught books, so including Whitney My Love. Let me check out what it's about. She returns to England determined to win the heart of her childhood love, but in order to save himself from ruin, her father has come to an arrangement with the arrogant Duke, and Whitney is the price. I don't know what that means. Sounds like it's gonna be a crazy historical romance, so I'm excited for that. Any Duchess Will Do by Tessa Dare. This is book 4 in the Spindle Cove series. So our Duke has no desire to wed. His diabolical mother abducts him to Spinster Cove and tells him to select a bride. He decides to teach her a lesson, and he chooses the serving girl. And I think they fall in love. That's so cute. That sounds adorable. I'm excited for that. And then the last one is an Eloisa James book, and that is going to be When the Duke Returns by Eloisa James. I haven't heard of this one either. So this one is number 4 in the Desperate Duchess series. Historicals, you never really have to read them in order. So this one says, the Duchess of Causeway yearns for a man she's never met, her husband. So she was married off as a child, and she spent years fending off lecherous men in every European court while waiting to meet her husband. And she's determined to accept him no matter how unattractive the Duke turns out to be. When she finally lures him back to London, her worst fear happens. He asks for an annulment, and I think they fall in love. So that sounds amazing. I need to read that. All of these sound amazing, and I need to go book shopping, even though I just bought more books yesterday. I have too many, but that's all I have. Kalia Reed gave amazing historical romance recommendations, so thank you to her. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want it again. I did ask other authors, so I did reach out to Tilly Cole, Brittany C. Cherry, J.R. Ward, Colleen Hoover, Laura Thalassa, Mariana Zapata, Kristen, Becca Ritchie, Jennifer Armentrout, they didn't respond, so it's okay. I don't take it personally. I know I have trouble responding to messages on Instagram, especially if they go into like my requested folder and aren't people I interact with daily. So if you want this again, let me know what authors you want me to reach out to, and if you enjoyed this, let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.